A group of 8 U.S. senators are requesting an investigation into whether Wells Fargo violated labor laws. In a letter to Labor Secretary Tom Perez, the senator said, in their words, the emerging portrait of the company's behavior suggests potential widespread exploitation of its own workforce in order to facilitate the widespread exploitation of its customer base. Joining us now with more on this, Senator Jack Reed. He's one of the 8 senators who signed the letter. Why this approach to try to punish the bank? There seems like on face value there's different ways of doing it. So that.
Well, the evidence that was uncovered by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, among many agencies, including the City of Los Angeles and the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, pointed to abusive practices, very intense motivation to sell, and also suggestions that people had to come in on their own time, even if they were wage earners without compensation. All of that, together with a rash of individual suits that are being filed on behalf of former workers, suggests that this is not an isolated incident, that this could be widespread, and it's the responsibility of the Department of Labor to investigate these types of serious national charges against large institutions. It's
not the first thing that you would think of in terms of you look at the action that the employees were undertaking. I don't know, it seems like, is it easier to go the labor route than fraud or something like that, Senator?
Well, first of all, you have workers, and many of these tellers were making about $12 an hour. They were hourly wage earners, and then being forced to come in on their own time, stay late, uncompensated. It's not only a violation of the law, it seems to be inherently unfair. They were losing money while others were making quite a bit of money. And I think it's a part of the aspect of this investigation that has to be pursued. It's not the only aspect, but it's a part of the aspect that must be pursued.
So what's the next step with this? And do you, what would be the final determination? What would you be looking for in terms of compensation for this?
Well, I think the Department of Labor would conduct the investigation. They would determine if it is, in fact, substantiated by the facts and the evidence. They would make a calculation of the wages that were lost, and I'm presuming the individual employees would be compensated for that. Those steps are rather routine. And again, part of what we're trying to do is to ensure that this type of behavior is not something that's copied by other institutions under the financial pressure of making their profits. So if we step in early and effectively, we'll not only protect workers, but we'll also prevent further expansion of this type of behavior.
So do you think that Mr. Stumpf needs to go? Are you of the same mind as Senator Warren? Or, I mean, does it go all the way up to where that's the only, and are there going to be clawbacks from any of the employees that may have already left the firm?
Well, I think the evidence to date is very compelling that this system was not only tolerated but encouraged, that there was serious violations of consumer accounts and consumer trust, that someone has to take responsibility. The board has to act. They have to look at all the evidence. I think clawback have to be on the table. I think everyone is salary, not just one or two individuals. And then again, they have to make a decision for a host of reasons whether Mr. Stumpf can continue to lead the company effectively. And that should be done promptly.
So real quick, some Democrats have said that this is an example of why the Consumer Protection Bureau needs to exist. Yet at the same time, it wasn't the Bureau that found out about this, that investigated and discovered it. It was the Los Angeles Times. What do you make of that?
Well, we asked Director Cordray when they began their investigations. They had whistleblower complaints in 2013 before the publication of the article. They were beginning to look at this. Then the article broke, and of course the City of Los Angeles, I must commend their activities, stepped in dramatically, and the OCC. These were 3 independent actions, but not only did they start it, in their view, at least Director Cordray's view, before the article. Without their presence, this could have easily been something seen as a small, localized Los Angeles problem that would have been dealt with probably years in court, not
Senator,
over a $100 million settlement.
That kind of goes back to Andrew's point for the whole question. If they had gotten complaints earlier and it took them longer to deal with these issues, I'm not sure that's much better than Wells Fargo management.
Well, I think there's quite a bit of difference there. I think Wells Fargo management would have still be in denial rather than have paid $100 million or more. Second, I think without the impact of a national organization and the OCC as well as the Consumer Product Protection Bureau, Financial Protection Bureau, you would not have had this result. I think if they were on the case, this would have been extended, delayed. It could have been localized into Los Angeles. This indeed is evidence that the CFPB is doing a good job and able to affect the outcome and the behaviors of companies, not just, punishment, but more importantly, to send a signal to the rest of the banking community that this behavior will not be accepted.
Senator, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.